I just that countdown always throws me off every time.
Really?
It just does because I get so mesmerized by Glenn's like sensual voice. We're off? Is that what you just said?
No, we're on.
Oh, I thought you just said we're off because I was talking about you. I thought you were censoring me. That's censored. Yes, because this is the QCE News Channel, AAI channels, whatever it is. Good evening and welcome to Verbal Ejaculation,
Sorry, I had
Mr.
to
Rose.
take a call.
It was not a personal phone call.
Well,
So
it's not like we get paid for this, so I can take personal phone
that's
calls.
true. He had
And so there's Chris's ass. Okay.
he had a crisis, so now Mr. Rose has joined the program,
Oh.
and
Is
we can
everything all right?
officially.
Drama.
Aunt Sally,
Would
okay?
be a gay guy if there wasn't drama in my life.
Yes.
It wasn't my mom.
It was.
Okay.
I tried to convince her to stay in New Hampshire, but she wants to leave.
Okay, well, that's because you drove her away. 'Cause she doesn't want to be with those gays. That's what it is. She didn't wanna, she's afraid that New Hampshire's being overrun by the gays.
Well, she is a conservative, right?
That is true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
That is true.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway.
Hey, I'm exhausted. Short show.
You're exhausted. I'm sick as a dog.
Yes, you should not have driven here.
I should not have been.
Matt, how are you doing?
Yeah, tell me
Great.
my doctor's not
Fantastic.
I'm ready. I'm ready for I want to do a 5-hour marathon tonight. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. All right, we should.
5 hours.
Tonight, let's
I
turn
just had some
verbal
5-hour
ejaculation.
energy.
I need a Red
And I'm
Bull.
drinking a Monster, so there we go.
And I've got Obama water.
We could turn this into
We both have Obama
Matt
water.
Connerton Unleashed and just leave after
Yeah.
about an hour and let Matt just
Yes.
go on. There we go. Anyway, you're watching. I didn't even get to the introduction because your ass got into the shot.
I know.
You're
Sorry.
welcome to Verbal Ejaculation episode.
Welcome all.
Who gives a rat's ass at this point? Because we're at, what are we, 90 something? What are
Yeah, we're up there.
we? We're
We
up
are.
there.
Yeah, that's.
Is it our silver
Amsterdam
anniversary?
is at
No. what is
90. They're going to be at 98 this week.
Wow. Excellent.
We'll be in the 90s. So shortly after they celebrate their 100th episode, Verbal Ejaculation, we'll invite them over for our 100th.
Excellent.
We should have
Excellent.
a big.
I did not get a chance to listen to a lot of the Peter White show tonight, so if they are listening, I'm sorry, guys. I was at a cookout and just things got really fell really behind. I'm sorry.
Oh.
They fell really behind. I didn't even get over here till 9 o'clock tonight.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, but
That's
Glenn had the
outrageous.
studio ready to go.
Yes. Yes.
Apart from our lights.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. 'Cause it's a dark.
We missed last week. We missed
It's a
we
dark,
missed last week.
A dark episode for the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
There we go. And the tragic. Shooting.
It's yeah. If we have to get it out there in the open, this is a cocksucking motherfucking prick who deserved to be in the general public with the other inmates and the other criminals, but because of the publicity he's been getting, he'll be secluded. He'll be put into.
Why do you want him to be in the general public?
I
Should he
want
be
to
locked
no.
up?
I want it to be in the general population.
Oh.
The general
in
well,
prison.
but the general. Okay, but he's not a child rapist and he's not a molester. So in the general population of the prison, not much would happen to him anyway because.
Right.
I mean, there was only, I think it was there was a 6-year-old, I think, was one of the victims, right? A 6-year-old.
Yes, and a 3-month-old was
3-month-old got injured. Okay, first off, let's just get this. Who the frig, I'm going to say frig in respect to all the people that got injured in this. I'm not going to say
Yes.
fuck. Okay,
Yes,
I did. Anyway.
yes.
Who the fuck?
Who is bringing a 3-month-old to a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises?
That's what you're focusing on?
No, but that's what I'd like
Not
to know.
the senseless
No,
violence.
we'll get to the senseless violence, but this is just, it proves my point, though, of who's bringing a 3-month-old to a movie theater? Could you not get a sitter?
Yeah, we're in a recession. You can't afford a sitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to say this
That's
over
right.
the mic. Did you see some of the clientele? Did you see?
What, some of the victims? Is that what you're asking?
They're the type, and I don't want to stereotype, but they're the type that often yell at the screen.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I'm not familiar with Aurora, Illinois, and
Colorado.
the type of
Aurora,
Colorado.
Illinois is where Wayne's World is
Oh,
from.
is that,
Aurora,
but
Colorado.
is where the shooting was.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
How far away is that from
I kept doing
Columbine,
that too.
is it?
14 miles.
20 miles.
So it's 14, 20 miles. So it's wow. So it's in that kind of the Bermuda Triangle of America, basically, if you think about it, for senseless killings.
Yes.
Because that
There's something in the water, right?
Yes.
That's,
The
you know,
Bermuda Triangle of
Yeah.
America for senseless
If
killings.
you think of it that way, is that
Yeah.
the way to
There's
think of it?
senseless killings outside of this area.
No, but that's but you
that's
had,
the Bermuda
but,
Triangle
But
of
you got
senseless
these
killings.
nut jobs. You got these teenage to 20-something-year-old nut jobs that live in. Is there something
It's
in that
something-
Obama
it's
water?
something in the
Is
Obama
it
water.
that
They
water,
don't have
Glenn?
Obama water.
Is that what it
The
is?
problem
Oh,
They don't.
yes.
They don't have that.
From the water.
And
They
look at the
yes.
professionalism.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How this
I just want to point out, I don't know where Glenn got his stock of it, but where I've actually seen that,
nutrition facts.
that was at the
procession.
Dollar Tree and at Job Lots is where I've seen that water
I paid
every time
6
it
cents
was.
a bottle, and I
Yeah.
got it from Falls Rivers, Virginia, where
Wow.
it came from.
Wow.
Falls River,
Got it
Virginia.
directly from
Let's see
there.
what happens if I do
Cases
this.
and cases of it.
Very
I'm
cheap
very
cases.
washed out on this.
But
Right?
and we have no lights, and you look
There we
washed
go.
out. You look very pale. But no, I just.
Oh, hello, Matt in the chat room. Matt in the chat room,
But-
who I saw today. I turned it off. I'm being, for somebody who's out in the sun today, I look completely white.
But the senseless killings. I mean, it and the other
You
thing
don't
that's
think that a mass murderer would be raped in prison? By the
because
general
there's how many mass murderers are in the general population? That's
Well, they
that
get
right there's
this
a
type of
stamp of
publicity.
approval, though. That guy's going to go to jail, and they're going to be like, "Good for you." You know what I mean? It's
What about the prison guards? Do you think they'd sodomize him
guards-
with a broom
the
handle?
guards will probably do some damage to him, but that's going to happen.
So far up his ass
where-
that he'd be
yeah, but
choking on it?
he's not protected from the guards, so they're still going to fuck with him.
That's true. Fuck him.
You know,
Fuck. That's
fuck
all
him
I
and
want
fuck-
him.
But
them
but
to fuck
the
him.
but
My
no, I
guys
mean
use
that
those
for what
eyes.
he did, his crime is the type of crime that that's a badge of honor in his eyes and the prisoner's eyes. That's not he didn't do anything so vile and disgusting that the other prisoners would be like, "Oh, we're going to murder this guy." He's not a Jeffrey Dahmer. He's not a child rapist. He's not you know what I mean? He's not one of these people. He just went in and he, blew away a bunch of people in a movie theater as whatever his reasoning being. And they're going to blame it on the movies. They're going to blame it, everybody's going to come out of the woodwork like they always do.
And they have been.
Like,
They
you
were
know,
within 4 to 5 hours
I know.
of the shooting. So
It's and supposedly this is something that I don't know if this is true or not, but he was claiming he was the Joker, was what he was claiming.
yes, he was dressed in the garb of.
But he
Bane,
dyed
but
his
he
hair
was-
like orange. The Joker's hair is green, so that was like it was like
Maybe it was the Ted Turner colorized version of the.
like-
Oh wait, no, the 1960 show was in color.
and like nobody in the theater could see his hair because I guess he was wearing a helmet and a gas mask.
yeah, he was
right?
wearing a riot helmet.
So people that were like leaving the theater supposedly were saying, "Oh, this guy came in just as a villain from the," and some people even thought it was a publicity stunt from the
Yeah.
movie too, which is even creepier. Sitting there, could you imagine sitting there? You've waited for this movie to come out. You've bought advance tickets. You're sitting there in this theater. All of a sudden, there's like smoke, tear gas in the theater. You're like, "Wow, this theater went all out. This really is IMAX. I didn't think this movie was 3D." And all of a sudden, you get this asshole coming in there, but the thing that it's got me baffled. And we were talking about this right before we came on the air. AMC Theater and a couple other theaters have released press statements now saying, "We are now banning costumes and firearms."
That wasn't even the point.
point.
You should have people guarding
Shouldn't
the
people-
exits.
Shouldn't people not be allowed to enter a theater anyway? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's. I can understand if a little kid goes into a theater, if there was a little 5-year-old with a Batman costume on to go see Batman, he's harmless. Go ahead and let that little kid walk into a theater. But if a grown man like myself were to go and get my Batman costume and go and sit there and watch the movie dressed as Batman.
Especially when you go to see something like The Hours dressed as
Yes,
Batman.
No, but you know what I mean, though. Like, because I do have a full Batman outfit, but I'm saying the fact
do?
is, yes, but the
I
fact
said,
is,
you've known him longer. Who's
The
going to take
fact-
credit?
the
Who's going to
fact
take
is-
responsibility for his friendship?
the
right
fact is, I'm not gonna go to a movie theater dressed up like I did. I'm not gonna go dressed up in a Batman costume to go see a fucking movie. Now, granted, when you go to a concert, you may wear the artist concert shirt, even though that's not cool. But you shouldn't go to a movie theater dressed
that
as
guy.
a hero or a villain.
You'll
of
be
some-
fine at Comic Con,
you know.
but don't go to
At Comic-Con, sure, Comic-Con, sure.
The
something
only
like that.
times it's acceptable, Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's pretty much it, where you dress as the character.
Yeah, but now are they because of these bans? I'm sure the midnight showings of Rocky Horror, they're not going to let people show up in costumes there because you're going to have.
But if you've
'cause
seen the
people are fearing
costumes
for the-
in Rocky Horror, there's not a lot of place to put weaponry.
no, but
What if someone shows up at Rocky Horror dressed like Batman?
what happens then? But I mean,
Did you dress as Harry Potter? I went to Twilight and glitter.
because there are like you see all those people that go to the Harry Potter showings and they dress up like the characters. You do see the people in the Twilight lines that are dressed up.
I went
like
to
characters in
Twilight dressed as a Buffy character just to
Did you?
fuck with people.
I went as Angel. Did you
Yeah.
go Spike?
I did.
Is that what it was? Yes. I
I
actually went as one of the charmed witches.
Do we go overboard and do we put maximum security on these movie
Well,
theaters?
first off,
and
the door. Okay, the
exits? Do
emergency
we
exit
install the
should
medical-
have been.
medical-
There should have
metal-
been. Shouldn't there be
metal
alarms on
detectors?
emergency exits anyway?
there's depending on how flimsy the alarm is, it's pretty easy. I mean, and it sounds like the last report that I heard yesterday was he had disabled it himself, or I don't know if he disabled it, but he was the one who kept it propped open.
Mm.
He didn't. It wasn't somebody.
Like he must have went in earlier, did something to the door
Yeah.
somehow, and it's like, and then the other thing that got me was the fact that his apartment was booby trapped.
And to answer your question, no, they're not alarmed. The ones that are at the front of the theater are not alarmed because you can exit out those
Because
at
usually
the end of the
when
movie
you're leaving a movie,
either
they
to the
have you-
parking lot or
yeah,
to the.
yeah.
There's a hallway usually.
So
So
was
all
it
takes
was
is
it a
little
back
piece of
door
duct
or a
tape.
front door that he was coming through when he came?
It was
in?
the
I thought
front. It was the front. It was the emergency exits at the front of the theater.
like right by the screen, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Didn't he come back through from the screen and started firing upon? Because
Yeah.
I've seen animation on, I think it was either CNN or MSNBC was showing animated shots of what had happened from somebody's phone, and it was kind of like showing this animation of a shooter coming in near the front of the screen, and because of it happening too, I guess they pulled the trailers off the beginning because there's a trailer for a movie called the Gangster Squad, and there's actually a scene in the trailer for Gangster Squad where they shoot up a theater. There's like
No
the
kidding.
end of in the movie, and that was one of the trailers right at the beginning before Dark Knight. So Warner Brothers, of course, they're smart people. They
Yeah.
pulled it.
And who was the Neighborhood Watch people? Was that Warner Brothers as well?
I think that was Fox that changed the name of the
think you might be
Neighborhood
right.
Watch to the Watch. But that, that
Did this
was,
kid get an advanced screening ahead of the advanced screening? Like, did maybe he knew somebody at the theater that was able
like
to
he knew
show,
when there was going to be gunfights,
Yeah.
and like stuff like that.
and
gunfight.
maybe knew that this trailer existed at the beginning, or
Yeah, but he doesn't do it during the trailer though. I mean, it wasn't during the.
yeah.
No, it just was a coincidence because this trailer was at the beginning of Dark Shadows too. When I saw Dark Shadows, I don't know when you saw your showing at Dark Shadows, it was at the beginning.
Yeah, I
but-
didn't see this trailer.
But there's this movie coming out called Gangster Squad or whatever, and and it looks like a really good 20s gangster movie, and the clip at the end of this trailer has like these four like gangsters coming through a movie screen at an old movie theater, blowing away the people in the theater. So that trailer
Classic.
immediately got pulled from the that was at all the midnight screenings.
Yeah.
The other thing though, I went and saw Dark Knight not at midnight because I wasn't one of the people that was going to be up until 3-4 o'clock in the morning seeing a movie, because to me the midnight screenings, to me, I don't like seeing a movie at those midnight screenings because I don't like people, so I don't want to be surrounded, you know what I mean? Like I don't like the crowd. So I had already pre-purchased because one thing I like, and again, having this vertigo I have, this was the biggest mistake to go see a movie with vertigo.
Last week it was NASCAR.
But it was,
Cars turning left.
Cars
That's
turning-
all they do, and that's
Yeah. But the
perfect. For
but
Vertigo.
but now especially it's bad to go see a movie when you're in the D-Box theater. Now the D-Box theater, I think I mentioned it before when I saw Avengers in D-Box. The D-Box is a Magic Motion theater. The advantage of the D-Box theater though is if you go to see a movie and you buy your tickets in advance, you can pick your seat because there's only 3 rows of D-Box.
Well, you don't want to pick your seat in front of people.
No, but so for a movie like Dark Knight, because I was expecting it to be like huge, that there was going to be so many people going to see this movie, I pre-ordered tickets to see one of these screenings, like the next night or whatever. And I was like, I picked my seat, center, right, the perfect seat right in the middle of the theater, so I had the best view. But it was one of the worst things to do while on heavy medication.
Yeah, you go to the $3
Like,
theater where
like-
the seats are stationary and the screens are this big.
but
You need to sit.
But what I noticed when I
not
went and
watch.
saw, well, I could close my eyes and you turn the D-Box off and the thing doesn't move. But what I noticed in the movie itself, and I don't think anybody else in this room has seen the movie yet. I
No.
don't think, because
I
the other
still
thing
yet
is
to see the Avengers.
people are afraid to go see the movie now because of the height, like just like people are
Copycats.
afraid of flying after 9/11. But it
Took me 5 years.
when I went to see the movie, there was no trailers at all. And I was like blown away because there's supposed to be the new Superman trailer was supposed to be attached to it and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
There was no trailer. They just went right to the movie. Like they had a couple of their little
That's unusual.
commercials they play that goes right
Yeah.
to the movie. And I was like, was this theater just like, are they so paranoid that they were like, we're just going to play the damn movie? And they had ushers in the theater the entire time. And I'll be honest with you, the theater was dead. There was nobody in this movie theater. Like I didn't even have to buy these advance tickets because there was nobody around me. There might have been a couple guys next to me, a couple people in front of me. there was plenty of seats that if anybody walked in at the last minute to see this, and this was opening like day when this, this was like the day it came out, not even a midnight showing. That's how scared people are going of seeing the movie right now. And it was like, and I'm sure it's going to hurt the box office. It's going to do a lot of damage to that because of this one senseless tragedy of some idiot that, and he knew what he's calculated enough. He knew what he was doing. He probably planned this out where he was like, I'm going to make a big scene. I'm going to do it during this movie. I'm going to, whatever his message, because I don't think he's released anything, right? There's been nothing released of why he did it.
No.
Or what his reasonings was.
Fucktard comes to mind.
And, and the other thing I know is from what I've been reading, his apartment door was unlocked, but it was booby-trapped.
Yeah.
And he had loud, obnoxious techno music playing after midnight on Thursday night. And his neighbor downstairs was a 20-year-old college student, went upstairs to complain because all she could hear was this fucking music. So she knocks on his door, noticed that the door was opening, and she just was kind of like, I'm not going to go in, I'm just going to go down and call the police. So I'm thinking he even was setting it up, he predetermined everything where he had all those booby traps set up, turns this fucking music loud, thinking one of his neighbors is going to bitch and moan, and you may have one of those people that's going to be so pissed off, they open the door, seeing an unlocked door, and say, listen, fucktard, and then boom.
Maybe that's why he was so quick to give up that information when he was arrested.
Yeah.
That maybe he's thinking, oh, while this is happening, maybe something's going on in my apartment. And he was taking credit for it because clearly the kid can't be classified as a coward for doing this because typically they off themselves after the deed is done. Yeah.
And he didn't get killed
and
by cop.
I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he did. Too many of these assholes go out and kill themselves.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen? They're going to deem him as being crazy. They're going to deem him as
clearly he is.
He needs a few rapings in between.
But he's like, I can honestly see him going into a mental institution and not spending his life in jail because they'll be, they'll find something. He'll get like this attorney that will get him off in more ways than one. Basically, basing everything upon the fact that for him to do this, it's lunacy. And it's open the doors now for
I have some faith because the judge down in Nashua didn't think, was it Christopher Gribble or one of those from the Mount Vernon tried to plead the whole insanity thing, and she saw right through it. She said no.
No, because he didn't have a history. Christopher Gribble didn't have like a full documented history of being insane. If it comes out that they get all this information from this kid saying that has this long-term history of having issues, or he was off his medication or whatnot, but yeah, I mean, the other thing that people are outraged about is so the president's going to visit the victims, which is a great thing to do, right? Because he's the the leader of our country. People are pissed off that Christian Bale isn't going to visit the victims. Like, people in the community are all like, why isn't Batman going to visit these people that went to see their hero? And I'm thinking, he's an actor in a movie. He's not, the Batman doesn't exist, okay? I mean, it's not, but people are like, some of the stories I've been reading are people
the best thing
like,
they could get was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, they got they got Adam West. Adam West is actually going to be touring.
Hello, good people of Aurora, Colorado.
He's finally putting on the cowl again, and he's going to go to Aurora, and he's going to talk to the victims. No, but people are like, wow, it's great that the president's going and making an appearance, but Christian Bale should go out and make this appearance. Christian Bale should go and take time out of his Hollywood career, but. It's like, really?
Other than being Batman in this movie, what responsibility does he have?
Like, it's and I mean,
it'd be nice. It would be nice.
In all honesty, is Obama doing it for political reasons, or is he doing it because it's one of the most senseless killings?
If this was not an election year, I would assume that the president would still
make a visit.
Oh, yeah.
Like any president would do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, any president would make any type of appearance just because of it, because it has been touted as one of the, what was it, the highest, the amount of people that got injured and killed for the type.
It was one of the worst.
Yeah,
and I saw that timeline that CNN put out there.
Of what, all the
all the major killings in the United States since like 1940, including the one in the 60s with the kid who climbed the bell tower at the college. Penn State. Apparently, your prayers have been answered because Paterno's statue is being taken down.
They are
Yes.
removing the statue.
Somebody listened to Unleashed.
Of course, you have all these people outraged and saying that Penn State
They're putting it in
shouldn't have-
storage.
shouldn't have
So-
caved to the pressure.
I do love they're putting it in storage like the Ark of the Covenant at the end
Yeah.
of Raiders.
You're gonna have just in case they ever need to take it out. They should, you know,
Yep.
They should
after
shop
they
it
have
up.
everything.
The problem is it'll be just like the Ark of the Covenant. You open up the box and your face is gonna
That's
melt.
what's gonna happen.
For anyone who isn't clear, we are speaking, of course, of Joe Paterno, legendary college football coach and legendary child rapist enabler.
Yes, thank you for adding
I was
enabler.
gonna say
Yes.
he didn't
He's
rape the
not the-
children
No,
himself.
No, he did not rape
just-
the
just
children.
allowed
He
it to
merely
He
happen.
just provided the
participated.
shower.
He merely participated. So any of you who are
Allegedly.
outraged
I don't know.
because
Yeah.
you love college football and you love Paterno so much that you're upset that they took down his statue, just remember he is a child rapist enabler. My understanding is that some people are okay with that, apparently.
Yes.
And college football is more important to them. I see Facebook postings, people
I don't
upset
know.
that they took it
They're
down.
outraged that they've
And,
taken the statue
And
down.
now they're
Yes.
they're being fined up to $30 million in fines. Is the last thing I just read too.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. Good.
30 million in fines for what? For having the
Source: Penn State will be hit with fines over $30 million as part of penalties to be announced Monday by the NCAA.
Good.
Okay.
That is according to CNN.
Well, my view is whether you're the Catholic Church or Penn State, if you're okay with people raping kids, then you deserve whatever bad shit comes your way.
Yep.
Bottom line, that's pretty cut and dry to me.
Mhm.
So, the apologists be damned.
You need to find. We need an island to put these people
Mm-hmm.
with adult rapists.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Kind of like the Hunger Games for rapists.
Yes.
Yes. So you take the adults who rape children, and then you take larger adults to rape the
That's a
kitty
good
rapists.
idea.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Eye for an eye. Sometimes eye for an eye works.
I agree with that. I think
That's why I'm glad this kid didn't off himself. This James Holmes didn't off himself. I want to see him tortured by prison guards.
No, maybe there's going to be this one prison guard, and this is stretching it a little bit. There's this one prison guard that hates Marvel comics but loves Batman enough and is pissed off that this actually could cost the fact that this movie's not going to supersede the numbers because of this tragedy.
Maybe.
And he starts beating the shit out of that
Yeah.
kid in prison because the numbers they're not releasing numbers this weekend out of respect to the people that passed away. They've actually made that announcement. They're not going to, even though it had this huge opening, the midnight showings, they released that because of course the tragedy came out after they were releasing these huge pre-sale numbers. But they, out of respect, they're not releasing the box office numbers until tomorrow. But they're saying it's only going to be, technically they're thinking it's about 170 million, where the Avengers made 200 and something.
Yeah.
So, and they were trying to beat the Avengers. You're going to have this one guard in that jail who really is a Batman freak.
Who was hired by Warner
Who's
Brothers
like,
to be a
who really,
prison guard.
who really just, he's going to be so pissed off that this movie he's been waiting for, the end of this trilogy, did not make the numbers because of this punk, and he's just gonna kill him in jail.
Well,
He's gonna
of the 12 deceased and the 59 injured, you think it's possible that any of these prison guards were either friends or relatives of somebody, so that they know?
could be that too.
Yeah.
Could be. There could be some relatives there.
A little payback.
The other thing that I've been kind of reading on some of these news sites was there was this couple that was in this theater, and they've been making the rounds. And these are what I like to point out as the news whores in these tragic events that have to be on the camera and not just kind of be like, let's remember everybody that's gotten killed. Let's remember this whole census thing. They have to be on every news show, like on the Piers Morgan and on, like they're booking themselves, this couple. I don't know if anybody's heard about the couple. The guys proposed to the girl right after. And the story is this couple goes to the movie theater. Again, they brought a 4-year-old child and a baby to the midnight showing at the showing. The boyfriend, the girlfriend, and the 2 children. When the asshole came in and started shooting, the boyfriend grabbed one of the children and booked it, leaving the girl and another child behind, drops the baby on the stairs, I guess, gets in his truck and drives away.
Oh, wow, really?
The guy's telling his story on the news. He's not keeping any of this.
Wow.
Like, it's not like And supposedly he's making a comment that, well, the baby was crying, so I figured that'd be a deterrent where the shooter would see a crying baby and stop shooting. So a younger kid, like a 15 or 16, maybe a 17-year-old kid, shields the girlfriend and protects the girlfriend from getting killed. She gets shot. The girlfriend gets shot. She gets brought to the hospital. This douchebag gets back into his truck, goes to the hospital, and proposes to the girlfriend, saying, "Honey, we've faced near-death experience. I know this is bad timing, but will you marry me?" It's like, now I can understand.
What was her answer?
Oh, of course she said yes. Of course she said yes. You know, thanks, honey, for leaving us and the kids behind.
Then they deserve each other.
Yeah, and that's what people are saying. And they're going on all these news shows, and he's telling the whole story, and they're saying, you know, and people are like, well, why did you leave the? Well, I figured a screaming baby would you know, make the shooter just be like kind of discombobulated, and he wouldn't, you know, and he would stop shooting because he sees a screaming baby, and it's like, oh yeah, a lunatic with tear gas.
After a 6-year-old was shot and killed,
6,000 rounds of ammunition is going to see a
injured.
screaming baby. You don't think he's going to aim for that screaming baby? You know what I mean? It's like obviously he didn't care.
Maybe
who
that's
he
why
was
he brought in
shooting
the
at.
tear gas. He didn't want to see what
You
he was
know?
hitting, just hitting it at
Just
whatever
hitting
was
random.
moving.
Yeah, but it was just. But this guy did. He booked it, left, like dropped the kid, like supposedly one of the other kids was there, and they're telling the story. The guy's not even hiding any of his information. Like he's not going on trying to like sugarcoat his story. Like, you know, you would think at least the guy would be like, well, I was trying to save my woman, and I was trying to save, but no, he says the whole story, and he hops in the truck and drives away like across the street to the mall. And he's trying to call. He's using the cell phone, trying to call the girlfriend to make sure she got out. And the girlfriend's not answering the phone. So it's like, you know. So people are kind of now. I don't know how you would be in that situation. Would you? In
I
all
don't know if I'd
honesty,
be fast enough to get out
would
of
you
the
be
theater, or
if
I'd
you were
have to
there with
play
somebody?
dead.
Would you be there with
If I was-
somebody? Would you be there thinking I need to protect the person I'm with, or would you have the same mentality of, you know what, I got to get the hell out?
You
of
never
here?
know in that situation
it's a
because you
hard
want to
situation.
save one, but the other is very much a possibility. I'd like to say that I would protect who I was with.
What if you're there with Paul Cormier?
Wow.
I trip him.
Wow.
It's
That's,
like swimming with sharks. It doesn't matter how fast you swim, just as long as you're a faster swimmer than your friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at that point,
With
though,
Paul,
in-
I cut him so that the
in
blood
Paul's
would come
defense,
out.
though, at that point in the movie, because this was near the beginning of the film, supposedly, like one of the first fires in the beginning, like it was pretty early into the movie, right? It wasn't like later on in the movie, from what I understand. Time-wise, Paul would have been outside smoking a joint anyway, because he had a tendency of nuts.
12:39, so
Yeah.
10 minutes of previews. It was probably
it was
within 30
pretty
minutes.
much early into the movie.
But
Now-
you just brought up a perfect point though,
Mhm.
because this kid says he's the Joker.
Yeah.
In The Dark Knight, it's the type of scenario that the Joker would have presented. I'm gonna start spraying bullets. Are you courageous enough? Are you gonna do what you think you're gonna do, or are you gonna do exactly what I know you're gonna do, which is you're gonna ditch the person you're with?
And I
It
mean,
was
there
like
were,
it was a test of character.
and there were some people, there were some
Fuck,
boyfriends
I hate.
there were
I
some
hate 'em. I
boyfriends
hate
that
'em, I hate 'em.
shielded. There were some boyfriends that shielded their girlfriends. There
Yep.
were some, like one of the kids that got killed. He actually was covering his girlfriend, and that's how he got killed, because he was protecting her. There's one, like the 4-year-old child, like the mother's in critical condition right now, so she hasn't been told yet that her baby's dead and that her daughter's dead yet, because they don't want to tell her. She's asking continuously, where's my baby, and they haven't told her.
And one of the 12 was a journalist who had avoided the Toronto shooting.
Yeah, she was just at that Toronto shooting and had just avoided that, and she was like an aspiring sportscaster, I guess, is what she was out trying to do. So she was the first one. The thing I know, she was the first one that kind of got announced, because
the father made up was
people were putting all these, like her friends and her father were putting postings up about her, and they were talking about this aspiring newscaster, sportscaster, and how she had just narrowly escaped the Toronto shooting, and now But what Warner Brothers did, Warner Brothers pulled that trailer. They've also pulled TV ads. They're not promoting the movie right now. Like they decided to kind of like, let's just put the movie on. And they were even talking about pulling it out of the theaters. Like they were thinking of, and they canceled the Paris premiere and the Mexico premiere of it.
I knew the Paris one, but that was the same day.
Yeah, and they decided to kind of pull that. They're not doing any press. they've had, statements were made. Christian Bale made a statement about it, and Christopher Nolan made a statement about it. But it was like, would it have made sense for them to pull the movie out totally and just say, okay, it had a midnight showing and
No.
let's just pull it? I mean,
If that's the case, September 12th, this
Yeah.
country would have shut down.
Right.
that's the thing. It's like you go on. It's,
But no,
it's,
the
it's an
president,
isolated incident. It's
Giuliani, they all came
Yeah.
out and said the same thing. This will
No.
only prove how strong we are as a nation. No, we should not pull this movie.
No, and it's like, and the movie, you're expecting violence in the movie because it's a Batman movie, and it's not. And this movie, having seen the movie, I'm going to critique it without ruining the film. It's very long, almost too long,
Nolan films are.
and it drags. Yeah, but compared to the other two Batman films, we won't
Yeah.
bring up like all his other movies. It's too much of a character study and not as much action in this one, where the middle of the film drags so much. Apart from the fact that I'm heavily medicated, I did kind of doze a little bit during the
Really?
middle of the film because it gets boring in the middle of the film because it drags so much with this character development and this a lot of dialogue. Whereas the previous film, The Dark Knight, where this lunatic is basing his madness on or whatever, I think he's just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. I honestly
And there wasn't a whole lot of character development in
No.
Dark Knight.
but I mean, Dark Knight was just straight. I mean,
You're just supposed to accept the fact that the Joker's crazy, regardless of what the backstory is.
but when you watch the trilogy, if you watch this rebooted trilogy, The Dark Knight out of the three is still the better of the three movies.
Right.
The Dark Knight, in my opinion,
Which is very rare with trilogies, because usually the second one is sort of the
Well,
dip.
Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. I always thought Empire Strikes Back was a better movie.
It is.
So
That's one of the exceptions.
Yeah.
But Temple of Doom sucked balls. I know you liked it, right?
No, I hate Temple of Doom.
Temple
I'm
of
saying
Doom sucked
Temple of Doom was
balls.
just Temple of Doom was a.
I know. I'm gonna put my wife in this.
But
movie.
that one's
Thank you,
not-
Steven Spielberg.
But they weren't married at that point. But that the fourth one in that series was the worst out of all of the movies, though. When they had space aliens,
Yeah.
that's when they ruined it.
And it was the same year that the second X-Files movie came out, and there was
There's
no fucking aliens.
Yeah, there was no
If you wanted the aliens, you had to go to the Crystal
no,
Skull.
you had.
And if you wanted the religion, which is usually in Indiana Jones, you go to the X-Files. Who knew?
yeah, but the movie itself,
Not a great masterpiece, I'm assuming.
the movie's phenomenal.
We are going to see the final shift in 3D, by the way.
The
I
final
already booked
shift.
us from. I was
Did-
hanging out
did
with
they
a
have
bunch
a
of theater
release?
people at the.
Did they have a
Forgot.
release? Because I was told it's
I'm gonna
coming
get
on.
mad at Ticket too.
I was told it's coming on DVD in 3D in September. So
Excuse me.
So I didn't know.
Yes,
it's
they're
coming
gonna
in the
find a
movie.
Blu-ray player
They're
at
gonna
another
find
theater.
a 3D Blu-ray player. But the movie itself, and again, I'm not gonna. I've been a Batman fan since I was a wee little lad, and Batman is my favorite of all comic book characters, and I'm a little obsessive with the Batman, I would have to say. I'm even wearing a Batman NASCAR shirt
I was gonna
tonight.
say it's such an
Like,
odd
what do you
combination.
mean?
I saw Batman. I'm like, is that Bane? No, that's a
No,
NASCAR
No,
driver.
that's Dale Jr. because Dale Jr. drove a Batman car.
He has
like,
Aaron
a month
Eckhart's
ago.
eyes.
You know,
I just-
but
I'm sucked into it. Yeah, Aaron
and-
Eckhart had a statement too, but nobody paid
Yeah.
attention.
and I mean, but it was a great way to end this trilogy and end Christian Bale's Batman, like, because he's not going to do Batman again. He said that. Being somebody that's followed the comic books and there's a lot of character development in this movie, and there's a lot of characters in this movie that are closer to the comic book. Like, this Bane is so much better, even though it's not exactly 100% like the comic book character Bane, but it's much better than the Schwarzenegger Clooney.
Well, Bane had
Batman
about
Bane.
20% of that film because you had Batman, you had Robin, you had Mr. Freeze,
Yeah.
you had Uma Thurman.
That's Poison Ivy.
Yeah,
and you had,
so he couldn't even get enough
well,
screen
you had
time.
just this wrestler in a costume that was grunting the whole
Yeah.
time. There is issues trying to hear Bane's voice throughout this movie. It is,
I did read that.
There
critique.
is some
Yeah.
issues.
Really?
I had no problems. I can understand what he was saying. The character of Bane is a great character. The movie, the action sequences are fantastic when they do show them, when there is action in the movie. When you're not going through this, like, hours of dialogue
Yeah.
but
Well, that was a big complaint too that a lot of people had with Dark Knight was that the interrogation room scene was Christian Bale was the one that you couldn't actually understand during the dialogue. And there's a YouTube clip that shows.
Well, that's
What?
just
What are you saying?
Well, the thing that gets me about the Dark Knight and even this movie, if you watch the first one with Christian Bale, if you watch the Batman Begins, his Batman voice is totally different. He changes. He's got this weird Batman voice in Dark Knight, and he continues it where it's this whole like, this is, he's got like this different tone of voice.
Yeah.
And it's almost Hulk Hogan-ish in a sense that I always because he's got this, but it's like this. It's hard to distinguish it. But in Dark Knight, his voice is like that when he's Batman. When you watch Batman Begins, his voice doesn't change as much between the two characters of Bruce Wayne and Batman. Same thing he does in this movie when he puts the cowl back on and he still has that I'm Batman type of real type of voice.
Do we meet Dick Grayson in this one?
Dick Grayson.
Is that his name?
There is no Dick Grayson in the film because Christian Bale said he would not do a Batman movie.
I had to ask. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt wasn't being prepared to continue on his. Oh, don't ruin it. Actually, what am I doing?
Why are you asking questions that could ruin? One of the greatest endings. I will tell you this much: the ending was fantastic, but it's a Christopher Nolan ending.
Was it Earth the entire time? Was the Statue of Liberty buried in sand?
Bob Newhart wakes up.
Christopher Nolan. So, did the top stop spinning?
The top stops. No, but
that's what it was.
No, it's one of these endings.
Christian Bale's walking out of the room and the top stops.
I'm going to admit something because I admit this all the time, and people know I'm an emotional guy. I cried in this movie. I actually cried 3 times in this movie, just like I did with the Muppets. But I'm watching this Batman film. There's actual emotional scenes in this movie that actually made me cry like a little bony-armed schoolgirl again. And I was like, the ending made me cry, and then it kind of was like, it was a touching ending. And then it's one of those Christopher Nolan endings, though, because it's one of those things where you can either lead it to interpretation of what the ending is. Either it's a real ending or it's a Christopher Nolan ending, if you know what I mean by that. Like, it's one of those things where...
Did Guy Pearce show up with the Polaroid camera?
Yes, Guy Pearce is there. But there are
I'm
great
just going
moments.
in my head of all the Christopher Nolan movies I know.
I had just seen Spider-Man a few days or so.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I've seen Mr. Spider-Man. I saw Spider-Man recently as well. That movie was fantastic, but
okay. Was it better than the third with Tobey? And it was Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Wow, I'm
being a comic book geek again. The Spider-Man movie, the new one, the Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot, because every movie has to be reboot, and they are going to reboot Batman again. That's what the rumors are, because they need to make a Justice League movie now, so they have to reboot Batman. But it was Garfield is Andrew Garfield. Yeah, Andrew Garfield is closer to the Spider-Man in the comic books than Tobey Maguire could get. But I can't say that as an actor type of thing. That's all in the writing. That has nothing to do with the actors. I think if Tobey Maguire was given a script, and I love Sam Raimi. I love Sam Raimi films, and I love the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. I think that's a great movie. The second one had its moments.
It wasn't bad. It's the third one.
But my problem I have, and this is the problem I have with all these superhero movies that are still driving me crazy. In the new Spider-Man movie, in the new Dark Knight, in half of every single movie that's coming out now with superheroes, their identities get revealed to 90% of the characters. Like their secret, their aliases, their identity. Like everybody in the new Spider-Man movie knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and it's like, really? Like,
no.
It's like
the only time it worked was Tony Stark. At the end of the first Iron Man.
I like that.
Yeah.
The way he just
I'm
turns
Iron
out
Man.
and says it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not Iron Man. I'm not Iron Man. No, I'm Iron Man.
He's an egotist. He's egotistical.
Yeah, but the Iron Man comic book though, everybody knows Tony Stark is Iron Man.
Right.
I'm saying, like every other comic book though, and every other superhero, you don't know Bruce Wayne is Batman. You don't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now he may you know, you get a girlfriend that finds out, like, you know, Mary Jane finds out eventually.
There's always
people,
one or two,
like, yeah,
just so that the story
you know.
can continue.
Apart from his Aunt May in this movie, in the Spider-Man movie, every single person in the freaking movie knows he's
No.
Peter Parker, Spider-Man.
No.
And there's scenes again
It
he's running around without a mask on.
It was two that the subway people.
The Spider-Man 2, where he's running
And
around
they
with
all
the mask
said-
ripped
they
off.
all said
We'll
that
keep your
it's-
secret.
yeah.
We'll keep your secret. Yeah, and it's
And Lois finds out about Clark, and then he wipes her memory.
yeah. Well, but then again, but in Superman lore, you know, they eventually get married and all that.
Yeah.
And it's but again, with Superman, you know, he doesn't, you know, he never reveals himself as being.
But I'm sure the
You
comics didn't suck nearly as much as the fourth Quest for Peace.
That's the greatest movie ever made. What are you talking about? The Quest for Peace. That was the greatest Superman movie. In fact, it's the greatest. That's the number one film of all
I
time.
watched that and I wished Margot Kidder had her breakdown.
Yeah, but
before.
that movie was the one with Richard Pryor was horrible as well. I mean,
I love the one with Richard
It
Pryor.
really was. I mean, it was a horrible film, but I will sit through it.
I think it's awesome.
I, as a child, scared the shit out of me.
Why?
At the very end, when the machine took over the, she's kind of like the Kathleen Freeman of the film. I don't know what the actress's name is, but she kind of reminds me of the woman from Throw Mama from the Train.
Mhm.
Just scared the
Scares you,
bejesus out of me when she becomes that metal machine. Oh my god, I had nightmares.
Huh.
I was a sensitive child.
Yes.
I mean, Dark Crystal scared me. Secret of Nim scared me.
I mean, if you look at those
I was a
original,
very sheltered child.
if you look at those original, and I'm sure the new Superman coming out next year, I'm sure 90% of the people in that movie will know that Clark Kent is Superman because that seems to be the wave these movies have now. And and the new Dark Knight, it's like, yeah, there's people that pretty much know who he is. Now there are pivotal characters that already knew his identity anyway.
Lucius Fox needs to know it so that he can continue building.
You already know that from the
and
Dark Knight. He knows
right.
who he is, and of course.
But I mean, those are like the pivotal characters that need to know.
But in the comic books, there are characters. There are some other characters in the movie that are from the comic book that, of course, know who he is. So that is there. But there is a touching moment at the end where there is a reveal. In this movie, there is a reveal of who he is, which it's a cool reveal. Like that's the only time that I'm actually going to say, okay, this is a great reveal. But the problem I had was Bane knows who he is throughout the whole movie. Like, I mean, Bane knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, basically, throughout the whole movie. He already knows. Like, it's not even like, oh, hey, I just found out Bruce Wayne is Batman. He's hunting Bruce Wayne because he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. And it's like, and there's parts that get revealed. I mean, there's things that get revealed and stuff like that. But it's just, that drives me crazy. And it's not like the whole movie, though, all of a sudden you have like a scene in the movie where it's like, hey, this is Bruce Wayne. He's Batman, everybody. Like, it doesn't reveal the entire thing. It was more so in Spider-Man.
So it's not at the mics.
No,
like
it's more so
Tony
in Spider-Man that it drove me crazy because the new Spider-Man, like, he reveals who he is to, like, Gwen. And he reveals, like, it's one of these things where, like, everybody, like, is, you know, they're figuring it out.
Then what's the point of Spider-Man wearing the mask?
That's the thing. Like, why? And it's
Seriously,
like
Clark Kent, all he has to do is put on fucking glasses. and
but
people still don't know.
They still don't know. But and the whole point of having an
and
alias,
he parts his hair differently when he's Superman.
and he's more geeky. He's more like he's all,
and slouches. A couple of inserts.
But the whole point of having an alias is you're supposed to be protecting the ones you love. You're supposed to be protecting people so the villains don't know who to go after. So if you go out as a superhero and be like, hey, by the way, I'm such and such, you know, and the villains all know. Like, the villain in this movie, just like all the other Spider-Man movies, knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And it's just kind of like, okay, so, but watching the Spider-Man movie, it was really good. It was done well, where it was really good about, it was closer to the comic books, even though it was a little bit of a different spin on the comic books, like it was a different kind of an alternative storyline. But the writing for him as Spider-Man has him as the character. Like the reading that, because growing up, again, like the comics that I love the most were Batman and Spider-Man. So I was excited to to have this double bill happening, kind of around the same time both these movies are coming out. And the Spider-Man movie, he's closer to that original Spider-Man comic book, like snarky, sarcastic, wise ass.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a shit. Not the sensitive Tobey Maguire character that they had, where
Well, it's Tobey Maguire.
No,
he's always a
but,
sensitive.
yes. And I like
character.
the thing I liked about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies though is he's actually, it's all about responsibility. He's responsible for everything that goes on. Same type of thing with this movie. He's still responsible for everything that's going on. It's his fault everything's going on. But instead of having the web coming from his veins like Tobey Maguire was, so that was like what they did with the Tobey Maguire movie, was that he was so mutated that the webs come out of his body. Like this was closer to the comic book, where he actually invents a web shooting device. So that's what I liked about it, because I'm like, oh, this is more realistic. I can see this really happening. Yes, he can still climb walls and he has, superhuman strength of a spider, but it's like he goes out and invents the whole thing. And it was a great movie, and there was there's great cinematography, there's great scenes. It's one of those ones that you don't think is worth it in 3D until you get near the ending, where you're actually, some parts of the movie you are Spider-Man flying through the city. So that's where it's worth being in 3D.
Right.
But there's a lot of scenes where you don't notice any 3D.
Okay.
Like it's one of those things where
when Dennis Leary is swearing at the camera.
When Dennis Leary goes on a rant in the movie. And Dennis Leary's character is great, and I was very upset they didn't utilize enough of him. Like he's a pivotal character, but they don't utilize him enough in the film. But all the people they cast were fantastic casting. I think the casting in this movie was great. I didn't see one bad, although I think Sally Field was a little too young to be Aunt May. Like
she was Aunt May?
She's Aunt May.
Who is
and they have
Uncle
Martin Sheen is uncle.
Yeah, that I can see that.
But the
was it Cliff Robertson
Cliff Robertson was one of the original. But so the casting was great. To me it was kind of tough because it was like Sally Field she wasn't this dowdy older woman.
No.
Like she still had a young look,
so.
And you couldn't, I was really hoping they would have gotten Medea, the guy that plays Medea.
Then it'd be Tyler Perry's
I think it would have been.
Spider-Man.
I think Tyler Perry and having Medea as Aunt May. I think that would have made the movie fantastic.
I'm gonna put my foot in your ass.
It's like, why are you out late again, Peter?
Child, I think why you gotta bother me when my Peter hurts?
Why are you climbing the walls again, Peter?
Have you guys ever tried to sit through a Tyler Perry movie?
No.
The Family That Prays I watched. It was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember which
Only. I know I'm watching a black movie, but it was because of Kathy Bates. It was because Kathy Bates was in it. I loved her.
I don't remember which one it was, but years ago I went out to the Midwest to visit my mother, and her husband wanted to watch a Tyler Perry movie for whatever reason.
Medea goes to jail.
And
Medea goes shopping.
I think I fell asleep during it. It was so bad. I mean, with respect to my African American friends, because I know it's one of those things like if you're black, you have to love Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
And Oprah.
Yes, basically you have to love Tyler Perry, you have to love Oprah, and you have to believe OJ is not guilty. Those are three requirements for
the white bitch
being black in America.
Yeah.
But
she asked for it.
But yeah, Tyler
the
Perry
white bitch and the Jew.
Awful film.
I only saw about 20 minutes of The Family That Prays. It was the very end.
It's like dreadful stuff.
And he keeps releasing them every 4 months. There's a new
he cranks them out. Well, I'm sure they don't cost much to make.
No.
It's like right under pornography, where you can do 5 movies in a day. Then there's Tyler Perry.
It's like him.
Once you start seeing Tyler Perry's Ass Bandits 4, you'll start pumping them out daily.
Is he that successful? Is his movies making that much money?
Yes.
Yes, he's a millionaire.
Saturday Night Live reran one of their episodes this past couple of weeks, where it was just after Forbes had announced that he was the highest paid entertainer in the industry.
He's the highest paid entertainer.
That's amazing.
It's like 130 million or something crazy.
So people
but
think
he
Medea
acts,
is funny.
produces, directs, writes.
Well, because it's all
so he's getting all the
Yeah.
residuals from all the different, from the SAG, from the Writers Guild. He's getting all the
because the latest
residuals.
one is Medea's in Witness Protection. That's
and
the
I
latest
heard it
one in
was
the theaters
awful,
right now.
and some people actually called for the outright boycott of Eugene Levy. that he should no
He's
longer be
in
in
it?
any more films.
Yeah, Eugene
Yes.
Levy and
Wow.
Tom Arnold in this movie. Now, speaking of
I
Eugene
knew where
Levy,
you're going with this.
has anybody heard about the Fred Willard incident?
Fred Willard!
And
Yes, he did a little Pee Wee Herman.
Little
He was
Pee Wee
little
Herman,
Pee Wee
what-
Herman, yeah.
and you know and I guess Fred Willard had a PBS show. I didn't know Fred Willard was doing something for PBS that
Yeah.
they've canceled.
I
He was a
didn't even know.
narrator, I believe.
A narrator on like some nature specials
Yeah.
about how monkeys masturbate.
I was
or
just-
something like that,
I
or
was just-
penguin masturbation.
I was surprised at how quick they got Mark Wahlberg to fill in after they fired him.
They just got
It's like you think Fred Willard. Let's see if we can get Mark Wahlberg. He's from Boston.
I don't think
It has nothing to do with Fred Willard. Fred Willard has nothing to do with
Is-
Boston either.
No, but is that what
But-
they got? Is that you serious? Or are you telling a joke? Was it really
No, they got Mark Wahlberg to narrate.
So they just so they're like, okay, we're gonna fire Fred Willard. Okay, who's on the list of next available? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg's got a big career right now.
He's an
So,
A-list Hollywood
you know, he's an
actor.
A-list
Yeah.
actor. So I'm thinking, why would? I would think they would have went to like Martin Mull or somebody else like on the listing of The...
Scott is in the chat room. Scott Perry from the Siren Agency.
Oh, nice.
He had some
Scott
personal
Perry.
shit to take care of today, so
Nice.
we
But-
all have I had 9:31 when the show
You
started. I had
had
some
personal
personal
shit.
shit I was dealing with.
Scott Perry, the host of the Siren Agency podcast show, the #1 show.
The number one show.
The
Congratulations,
number one
Scott.
show. He
Yeah.
must be clicking that show numerous times.
We
Must
missed a
be
show last week and
downloading
we're
it
still
like
in the top
crazy.
10, so I'm
Yes.
happy about that.
Yes.
But
We're still ahead of
So-
QCE.
what is it? Anyway,
Let
the,
large gone global.
so Fred got caught with his pants. Now did
I think the main difference for me between this and Pee Wee Herman is
Yeah.
Fred Willard 72. Ew.
but I mean,
Well, you gotta.
but why
Well,
aren't
but
people?
why-
Why aren't they just? Is it the thrill of being in a public theater?
But that's the other thing too is there's plenty of non-celebrities who go to these theaters to jerk off.
Yeah.
Were they following Fred Willard? Was there a paparazzo
But why
following
are
him?
you following Fred Willard? That's what I'm saying. Apart from doing the
Look,
Christopher Guest movies, and-
TMZ was having a really slow week.
I mean, it's
So-
Fred Willard. I mean, he's.
It's like Britney's not doing anything crazy.
I mean, Fred
and
Willard is
Jennifer
he's a funny.
Aniston's
He's a funny guy.
having a
I
normal
love
life.
Fred Willard. Everything. I can't think of a bad thing he's been in. Every time I see Fred Willard, like he's always plays a great character.
Yep.
Yeah.
and he got an Emmy for playing the father-in-law in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, did he win?
He got the
Emmy
guest
for that?
star for that. Yep.
Yeah, but the like, what drives somebody now? We can't sit here and say what drives somebody to go in and shoot up a movie theater because that is just batshit crazy. And I mean, that's just like what was that guy's motivation? But what was Fred Willard's motivation for shooting something else in a theater? You
He
know
was
what
shooting
I mean?
in it.
Like,
Yeah.
what was his
He
motivation?
shot on his chest. He shot on his
I mean,
face, on the front
like,
of the seat.
What would drive somebody? Was this a publicity? Is he trying to get like?
I don't know.
Is he trying to get like more? Because he's
And again,
a
why would you
working
pick
actor?
out Fred Willard out of all the non-celebrities who masturbate?
Was he
adult
upset that
theater?
he wasn't in American Reunion? I mean, he was in the American Wedding. You know, he plays Michelle's parents. He
Does
plays he plays the father of the bride. But he wasn't invited back to the American Reunion.
And is he
movie?
going to be invited to
Yeah.
Anchorman 2?
Will he be in Anchorman 2? Will he be in is this promotion for Anchorman 2?
I was gonna ask that too.
Because Pee Wee's career, like, it took a dip during that whole time frame, but then then he kind of came out of his.
It's still not nearly as big as it was. In
But the
heyday,
problem with
but
Pee Wee was he had a child show. He had a kid show.
that catered to both the
That-
kids and the
Yeah,
adults.
I mean, it was
Miss
always,
Avon's tits. Come on.
yeah, but
That was
what I'm
clearly
saying
not
though
for
is
kids.
because of the way the channel marketed Pee Wee, they marketed his show as a children's Saturday morning show.
Yeah.
Even though people that know Paul Rubens and his sense of humor and his comedy, the Pee Wee Herman was always an adult act.
Yeah.
Like the actual original.
I remember seeing it
Pee-wee.
with Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
When he was
Well,
touring with Phil Hartman.
It was an adult thing, and even when they've kind of brought it back on HBO and they had like the new version of it and everything, it was catered to adults. I mean, Paul Rubens was in Cheech and Chong movies, getting high before
Yeah.
he was Pee Wee Herman. So I mean, he was
He was in one of the Meatballs,
He was a
too.
blue. Was he in one of the Meatballs?
He's the bus driver.
Was he? But he was a
Don't
blue
ask me, I
comic.
remember
He
this
was a
shit.
blue comic.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like, he did Pee Wee's Playhouse. It got successful because kids, for some reason, got into it, and it was, and then he gets caught jacking it off in a theater.
Yeah.
So that ruined his career. Fred Willard is not known for any, like, he's not on
Yeah.
Thomas the Tank Engine. He's not on, like, if this PBS thing was just like a nature special or whatever it was, like, it wasn't like a kid show he was on. I mean, it wasn't like finding Fred Rogers jacking it off in the theater. So I don't know what the
I
whole.
did see that one time.
Like what the whole point of
Made me
why they're making it a big deal about Fred.
maybe have a lot more respect for Fred Rogers.
You know,
He was hung.
Fred Rogers. I've recently seen footage, and I don't know if this is doctored footage, but there's footage of outtakes of him flipping the bird on on the camera now that
Really?
I've seen of Fred Rogers. Yeah.
I've
So I'm wondering if that's
seen
doctored.
that. I think it might be doctored, but
doctored?
you never know.
You don't know.
And all the Orson Welles drunk. That
Yeah.
well, that's not too uncommon.
No.
Apparently, he was a drunk all the time.
You guys remember Bozo the Clown?
Yep.
My mother tells a story because my mom grew up in Chicago, and that's where Bozo the Clown is originally from, WGN in Chicago, and then eventually it got successful and syndicated. But she said when she was a kid and it was still just on WGN in Chicago, it was live every morning, and there was this Bozo did something where these kids had to participate in this contest, like bowling or something, and they won a prize, and this kid blew it and lost the game, and Bozo said, patted him on the head and says something like, better luck next time. And I guess this was live television. The kid looks at him and says, "Fuck you, Bozo."
Really?
And like this little 8-year-old kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say he said to one of the.
I wonder if that's on YouTube.
Said to one of his assistants, "Listen, Sugar Tits, go
Look,
set
Sugar
up
Tits.
those."
That would have been
Go
awesome.
set up those.
Give me
those
another
pins
one
there.
of these.
Well, there's
Thanks.
also Soupy Sales, who had a children's show, got fired from his children's show because of stuff he used to do on his show.
I didn't know
All right,
that.
who was it? Who was it that suggested to the kids?
Go in the money thing. That's
Was
Soupy
it-
Sales.
Okay, I
Soupy-
did that. I did
yeah.
that to on one of Glenn's shows.
Soupy,
I said,
Soupy
kids, if you're
Sales.
watching,
Soupy Sales.
get money out of your
supposedly
parents'
on one
purse.
of his episodes, because his show was all live. He basically would say, "Hey kids, mommy and daddy are probably still in bed now because it's a whatever early in the morning," and he says, "If you can go into daddy's wallet or mommy's little purse, if you find those beautiful pieces of green paper, if you want to just grab some of those and send them to P.O. Box such and
Yeah.
such," and he did that. Supposedly there was also I guess he comes in off of one of the breaks singing the song "If You See K." Like something like, "If you see Kay, tell her that I love you." Like
Oh,
he was
really?
doing stuff like
Wow.
that all the time. Like he would just be fucking with people. And but I think it was the money thing is what got him fired. I think by asking for the kids to send in money was what actually got him fired.
Yeah.
But supposedly
That's
there was.
I
there
knew it was
things-
him or Rex Trailer, one of those.
Rex Trailer.
Rex Trailer.
Rex Trailer.
My mother was on a Rex Trailer
I
show.
was gonna say that's more of a local show,
Yeah.
Rex Trailer. But the
Well, you never know how these urban legends.
yeah,
start
supposedly he was doing a lot of stuff like that on his
Like
show too.
the Zsa Zsa on Johnny Carson.
That never happened.
That never happened.
That was an urban legend about the.
Would
the-
you like to
the
pet
cat.
my pussy?
Yeah, and
Would-
he goes,
sure,
"Move
but
the cat out of the
move
way."
the damn cat.
That never happened. That actually, Richard Roper. I don't know if you remember Richard Roper. He wasn't.
Ebert and Roper.
Yeah, Ebert Roper.
Yeah.
He actually has a really good series of Hollywood urban legend books.
Oh.
And he when he's not reviewing movies or whatever he's doing now, because he wrote
Or
around big thing.
fucking Fred Willard. We're starting a new one. We're starting a new
maybe
one.
if he's not whacking it off with Fred, maybe he's the one that tipped him off. Maybe
Yep.
he was in the theater and he called up.
He
said,
gave
"Hey,
him
get
2
over here."
thumbs up
Yeah,
that Fred
and,
Willard sat on.
But he wrote this great series of Hollywood legends, Hollywood urban legends, and he actually addresses that one where there is no documented evidence. There is nothing that never happened.
Especially
That was just
these
a,
days where, Time Life or whatever has all the footage that they put on the DVDs. That and the roasts, all the wasn't Johnny, who was it Sinatra wrote? No, Dean Martin. The Dean Martin
used to
roast,
do
sorry.
the roast,
There's a whole conversation going on that tonight I'm just not even paying attention. I'm letting the ambiguous gay duo
yeah. Have their
chatted
own
out in the
thing.
room. What about Fatty Arbuckle and the Coke bottle? That he either sodomized another actress with a Coke bottle. Nobody knows about
I've
that.
never-
I've
Never heard that, nor do I even really want to think about it.
I don't want to think about it either, but now that we've got it in my head, I'm going to check it
I
out.
apologize. I need to do a.
Yes.
Fatty Arbuckle, was it a wine bottle? Coke bottle.
Dan is going to do a quick thing, and I assume by quick thing he means urinate. I don't know why he couldn't just say I'm going to urinate.
I think wasn't Glenn was alive back in 1933. Maybe he remembers.
No reaction. From
No reaction.
Yeah.
He's probably napping.
Uh.
Let's see. Oh God, contact lenses. Accused Arbuckle of using a piece of ice to simulate sex with her, which led to injuries. By the time the story was reported in the newspaper, the object had evolved into being a Coca-Cola or champagne bottle instead. Oh, so he was using ice. Eventually caused. And apparently, his weight caused a woman's bladder to rupture while they were having sex.
Huh.
All right.
So the moral of the story, kids, is don't have sex with Fatty Arbuckle. I mean, that's what I get from that.
Yeah. Do not have sex with, especially now. Well, he's probably a lot lighter now.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Let's dig up his body like we will with Gary Coleman and Dana Plato, and let the three of them have sex.
Oh, that, you know, I mean, as that sounds really wrong, but it sounds kind of hot too.
It's very hot.
Yeah. Huh.
I will suggest to Dan, now that we're at 10:30, we have been here for a full hour, that poor guy seems to be in a little bit of shape from this weekend. That we'll probably just end it as soon as he gets back.
Yes.
Anything planned for Matt Connerton Unleashed on Wednesday? Or is it going to be a surprise?
This coming Wednesday, it'll be a surprise, but I will be unleashed.
Unleashed.
Wednesday night at 8 p.m., the television edition of Matt Connerton Unleashed here from the QCNews.com studio. And of course, we do that show in Studio F, ladies.
You know Studio F. Oh, yes. The one with Barry White playing in the...
Yes. And Friday night, I will not be here for We'll Let It Large Gone Global. I will be at Elm Street Park in Laconia.
How dare
for a special local outbreak event. Local Outbreak, the show that I host on 100.1 The Planet. And you can also find it on IPMNation.com.
Excellent. And of course, our good friends at Amsterdam will have a new episode of Amsterdam on Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern on IPMNation.com and TV23 for the Manchester and parts of Hooksett area, as well as The Peter White Show live 8 p.m. Eastern on Sundays just before Verbal Ejaculation. Check them out.
Yep.
IPMNation.com. You can always check Verbal Ejaculation, Matt Connerton Unleashed, and Who Let It Large Gone Global Fridays 8 p.m. Eastern at IPMNation.com and QCE News. Dan is returning to us. I was just saying, as you're getting back, this is probably where we want to say goodnight to the folks. We've been here. We did an hour episode.
That's fine.
And I think we said that it'd be a short episode tonight.
Yes.
The summer hiatus idea is starting to look so much better now.
Summer hiatus.
It's actually my selfishness because True Blood is on.
Oh.
The worst show on HBO. Right
Oh,
now.
yes, I'm sorry. To Scott Perry in the chat room, the Siren Agency podcast, the
Yes.
#1 show on IPMNation.com, is available Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Yes.
Excellent.
But you don't have to listen then. You can listen to it anytime.
Anytime, it's on demand.
The shows go up at 11 a.m. Saturday
Or
mornings,
being a
but then
podcast,
you can listen to it anytime.
And you can also visit thesiranagency.com for all upcoming events and shows.
Yes.
Am I missing anybody? The later show, I have no idea. I've not talked to John or JC Sargent in a while to see if he's still doing a show or not. I hope he is. But
Has
if
there been one
he's
on
not doing
IPM?
any live shows right now, the later show is still available on demand.
Oh, yes. And Glenn is reminding me the R.J. Norton show. Wednesdays at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time, right before Matt Connerton Unleashed.
R.J. Norton, our ever faithful cameraman.
And that is also done in Studio F.
That's true.
Studio F.
Studio F.
F for fuck.
Yes.
And a little common sense. Our good friend Howard McCarthy has returned to us
Howard is back.
after a long hiatus.
There seems to be some confusion over the name of the show, Howard's
A
show.
little common sense now.
Yes. But he doesn't, I don't think Howard realizes, because we discussed it on We'll Let It Large when he was here, I don't think Howard realizes that on TV23, like if you look at the schedule on the TV23 page, it actually says The Old Lamplighter.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I don't think Howard realizes that.
So the show
they're
is
sort of
called
behind in
A
the
Little
game.
Common Sense.
According to Howard, it's called Little Common Sense. According to TV23, it's actually called The Old Lamplighter.
Well, Match on Fire, they changed, but they never changed. They changed the schedule, but they never changed it online. They never changed
Oh, really?
when they.
Keep it that way. We've changed it here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Very good.
So there is a lot of stuff that you can catch online at IPMNation.com and QCNews.com.
And Thursday night the concert.
And Thursday night, the live concert series here in Manchester
Oh, very good.
At the Veterans Park.
at Veterans Park, sponsored by people who are not paying us, so I'm not going to mention their name.
Yeah. Ha ha. People who are not paying us. You don't get your name mentioned.
So,
Yes.
so people aren't paying. They're sponsoring the event. You're just going to shoot the event. I see.
Yes.
So that the
No,
central
no,
local.
No, we're
No,
going to
no,
film
no
the
shooting.
event.
Oh, so I can't even use the word. We can't even use the word shooting.
Well, you can because you have a Batman costume.
that
You
what
can
it
show
is?
up in your
'Cause I can-
costume
I can
and
go-
shoot people.
No, but I can't. I can't
I
go
don't know.
anywhere now in my Batman costume.
I haven't been able to talk to my
No.
cousin Al Qaeda. He kind of
Well,
disappeared off the face of the
you
earth.
guys, I told the story about my Batman costume on the air before about when I showed up at my brother's house.
I just pictured you in a rubber suit like that in
I don't-
American Horror
I have a
Story.
full size rubber like Batman, like the movie Batman costume.
Mm-hmm.
With the
that-
nipples?
No,
With the
not
George
the
Clooney nipples?
It's not Clooney's. And it's sitting in storage now somewhere. But I have this costume, and I had
Is it still in Paul's basement?
yeah, it's in Paul's basement. Yeah, you didn't move the Batman costume when you were
He's sold it.
He
by
smokes
now.
pot and he
he's-
masturbates
he
to
does.
it.
But when Dave and Sam, my two nephews, when they were younger, I
Used
was
to scare
like,
the shit out of them.
I was thinking, all right, I'm going to show up one day at my brother's house dressed as Batman to surprise my nephews, because you would think little kids would get a thrill, like,
Right.
wow, there's a superhero at the house, right? So I basically called my brother up and I said to my brother, I said, hey, listen, I'm putting on my Batman costume. I'm going to show up at the house. Don't tell the kids that I'm coming over. And then just, I'm not going to bring the car to the driveway. I'm actually going to park a little far away. And I'm just gonna walk up to the door and be like, hello, citizens, whatever. So I drive up.
Hello, so you were the Adam West Batman.
Yes.
Well, no, but I show
I don't
up.
think Michael Keaton would ever want to
I
give you
show up
hello,
at
citizens.
no, he was more like, I'm Batman. Anyway, so I show up at my brother's house, and they were living in Tilton at the time. So the first thing that's kind of weird is imagine driving a car dressed in a full Batman costume, driving up north and having people look at you. That's one thing. Second thing is I get to the house. So the car's far enough away, so I'm walking the streets. I didn't want to park near the house. Walking the street dressed as Batman, so that of course also was a thrill. Having just people kind of
You attracted some unwanted attention.
So-
I'm sure.
So I get to the door, and I'm knocking on the door, got my hands on my hips, doing the full Batman pose and everything. So Dave and Sam come up to the door. Dad, it's Uncle Dan. Then they just walk away.
Really?
Yeah.
Apparently, you missed them at that age where they
Like,
actually.
wow.
came.
No, they were little kids. Like Sam and Dave were tiny kids. Like they were
Yeah.
young. They were young enough that they would be thrilled at any superhero. It was the fact that it didn't even occur to them like it would be anybody other than me. Like they would know I would be showing up dressed as
Yeah.
Batman. Like I knock on the door and they're like, oh yeah, Dad, Uncle Dan's here. Like just not even just all thrilled that I had a
Wow.
Batman costume or anything. They're just like it was a normal Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Uncle Dan's here
Dan's here.
again.
Must be Wednesday.
He's wearing his Batman costume, and I just to this day I laugh at that though because
Yeah.
it's like you're thinking, am I that much of a freak that that my own family when I show up at the house that they even it's just Uncle Dan,
Yes.
Is that what it
You
is?
are.
So,
I have a Starfleet
So-
uniform at home, so
you have a Starfleet uniform? Well, we-
not a red shirt though. I
No.
never won a red
you-
shirt.
No, but for your uniform, is it the original, Next
No, it's
Generation?
next generation. So I got the pins.
Just one of those.
It's got the communicator that's already drawn on it or whatever.
Oh, so you don't
but
see? I actually have one of those.
I have one
that
that
too that has the
yeah.
peeping.
that's about this big, despite the fact that in the TV show it's this big. The
Yeah.
communicators.
I would like to find I like the actual movie outfits that that
Shatner
Kirk
wore?
wears, that Shatner wears.
The-
those,
the-
the
yeah.
ones that have the thing where you just and every time in every movie Shatner has to like pull it halfway off.
Yeah.
So every time you see Shatner, he's got like the white shirt. He's always like like
And I love-
how professional of a captain is that? Let me just rip half of my shirt
I love
off.
as they keep updating the costumes. It happens to be like just a matter of fact in the universe. Like with Next Generation, they had the stripe originally,
No.
and then after the first season, more of the characters were losing the stripe, but you see the extras in the background still wearing
Still
the
having it.
stripe.
Well, then,
And then you just okay, and then Generations comes out, and they're switching from the red with the black to the black or to the red up here, and like
Well, 'cause
characters throughout.
They had to have movie costumes.
Yeah.
You had to have different movie costumes.
But they had the original costume in Generations, and some of the characters were getting updated garb throughout the film.
Yeah.
And you can see, okay, Captain Picard is still wearing the old one, but LaForge is wearing the new one. Why? It's just like, why am I even talking about this? I think I'm drunk.
But the thing that still gets me to this day, and it's when you watch all those old episodes now,
I think I'm definitely
and you
dehydrated.
see them using the technology they're using. It's all iPads, basically. Like
Yeah.
they're running around with iPads.
Did you see that on Facebook?
You know.
Somebody posted like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and all these people coming out with, and Picard sitting there with his tablet saying,
Yeah.
"Bitch, please, I had this first."
Yeah,
I
it's
had,
like
I had the idea first.
because they all have they all that concept. Of course, they were all fans and watching that. I just saw the thing about Mission to Mars, the guy in the red uniform. I never noticed that in that movie because I saw that movie once and
No,
I do like the
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest is
Sam
great.
Rockwell was an extra.
Yeah.
I died in episode 12. Why did you mention episode 12?
But I liked in the reboot of Star Trek though too, where they're flying down in those special suits, and the guy in the red
Yeah.
flight suit is the one that gets killed.
Yeah.
You know, that was always that was a great
J.J.
thing in that.
Abrams must
Yeah,
have.
that was
And that's a nod to all the fans.
yeah, and that's another one of those reboots that I was very happy with how they did that reboot.
Me too.
With
Yeah.
It was a very nice way of doing it, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the second one to come out. When I think that's coming out next year. They're hoping or whatever for the sequel to the new reboot of that series. But no, if you're not afraid to go to the theater, go see Dark Knight. Go see that movie. It's well worth it. Don't wait to see it on, and I don't know if it's worth it to see it in the IMAX or not. I mean, I guess 70 minutes of the movie's filmed in IMAX, and
there's still 80 minutes after that. That's not, and then another
there's,
26 minutes.
I mean, it's a lot of the
Where it could be either.
big scenes are in IMAX. I didn't see it in IMAX. I paid the same amount of money to have my seat move around. So I mean, it was like, and again, the thrill of I like the D-Box technology.
Well, you're a D-Box.
No, but because they're the D-Box technology, the thing that was neat about it, and again, there's a lot of fist fighting, and while you're sitting in the D-Box and there's this fist fighting going on, you're moving every time somebody's getting hit, so you're like in the fight.
I don't think I could do it.
So
I don't know.
If you get like, I'm on a lot of heavy medication about motion sickness and dizziness, so
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't. So I mean, but it was just like, but just when there were scenes like that, there's a scene where he's on the Bat Pod driving through the city, and that's really cool because you're on the Bat Pod, moving around. And even though the movie's not in 3D, it was still really cool. But when there's these fight scenes and there's like people getting punched and everything, you're getting punched with them in these D-Box theaters. And it was $1 less than the IMAX.
Okay.
So it was like, so I could either go see it, and the screen's just pretty big, I mean, at the D-Box theater. So you could pay $1 extra and see the IMAX film scenes, or you can pay $1 less and get your ass kicked by a chair that you're sitting in, or you can go to the Lowell movie theater and pay like probably $4 and have somebody behind you kicking your seat anyway, or one of those nice theaters, or they're
where they bring in alcohol with them.
All
right.
So anyway,
so that is Dan's review of The Dark Knight
because
Rises.
I can't review the movie without ruining it, because it's
no.
I wish other people have seen it, because there's other there's other concepts about it, but if anybody does see it by next week's show, if we do a show next week, just tell me if you felt it dragged in the middle as well, because I really do feel it drags too much in the middle, and they could have nipped and tucked it a little
I'm
bit.
sure. But not Nolan. That's not what he's known for.
No, and when the top drops it, I just
All
ruined
right.
it. I just ruined
he's
the
stopping
ending.
now. We're gonna sign off now. Glenn, in a couple of seconds, we're gonna say goodnight. Anything else you got?
Nothing I have.
No. It's been a hell of a week so far. We
been
will
a
be
bad
back
week.
Sunday. Matt, you got anything?
Well, I already
He promoted everything.
He did
already
promote
did
everything.
that.
So again, IPMNation.com. Check for all new shows. I go to QCEnews.com as well. There's some fine programming there. And we're going to sign off tonight. We will see you next Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night.